want to say something. A prize, motherfucker.
What's going on, everybody? It's that ordinary podcaster with the extraordinary thoughts that tells you to stop being great and be extraordinary. I'm your host, Demetrius Thickpen, also known as Meech Speaks, and welcome back to another episode of the Meech Speaks Podcast. Now, before we get started with this podcast, don't forget to head on over to your favorite streaming platform, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts. Hell, you can even go to YouTube. And to be honest with you, if you're really liking this show and you want to grab a shirt just like this, head on over to the website, meechspeaks.com. Meech Speaks. Meech is spelled M-E-E-C-H. Check out an episode, grab some merch, but most importantly, don't forget to leave this podcast an honest review because this podcast deserves to grow just as much as we do. Now, we just shot the whole episode without even hitting record, to be honest with you. I can't even lie, all right? And that's how I know going into the episode that it's going to be a good conversation. And honestly, man, like this means a lot more when you bring a guest on the show and there's so many dimensions to that guest. There's so many layers to that person. There's so much that you can actually learn from that person when you're speaking. And today's guest, man, like is literally everything that I just mentioned. You know, a comedian, a martial artist, a gunnery sergeant, United States Marine Corps. This so much was just had in the first 45 minutes of me just talking to him that I did you a disservice. To be honest with y'all, I did y'all a disservice because I didn't even hit record when he started talking. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Nick Racioppi to the show. What's going on, brother?
Nothing much, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for being here, man. Thank you for being here. Did I say your name right?
You did. It's
okay.
Yeah, there's a couple of iterations. Ravioli, I've gotten Racioppi. That was in boot camp by the Kill Hat. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like it's Ratatouille. That's been a big one.
You know, when I hear your name, man, like first and foremost, I understand because having the last name Thickpen in the Marine Corps was never like a fun thing for me. Boot camp, I remember my drill instructor hearing Thickpen and he looked over and said, "What the fuck is that?" And I said, "Damn. All right, I hear that too."
It's like that.
Yeah. yeah. I was like this. I was like, like he said, "What the fuck is that?" And I was like,
I'm checking in and it's already over.
Okay. I appreciate that too. Thank you. And throughout my entire career, you know, there's always these iterations of it. And to be honest, when I hear the different iteration of my name, like even I have to take a step back because I'm like, I never even thought my name could be said like that. Like, It's thing pen, thigh pen, thoy. Like somebody said thoy pen, and I was like, "Are you trolling me? Like, are you just playing?" Like
thoy pen is crazy.
Thoy pen. I was like, dude, like there's literally a G. And the worst part is when people ask you, like, how do you say that? How do you say your last name? And I'm like, it's thick pen. Like
2 words, dude. Yeah, just put them together, say it quick.
You know, I even try to help people. I'm like this. Have you ever had a Fig Newton? And they're like, yeah, I had a Fig Newton. I was like, all right, so it's like fig, but there's a T there, so it's Fig. All right.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's Fig. And then the pen like you write with. So God, man, I actually thought about getting my last name changed a couple of times.
I got Racioppi when we were going out for a deployment. I was a Lance Corporal at the time, and obviously, like when you're fucking loading up everybody's packs and stuff, they were reading it off the roster, like Stewart, Thompson, Racioppi. I was like, dude, there's not even an L in my name.
Why are we?
But then you have to
understand.
But you have to understand, it's also someone else's like chicken scratch handwriting. So I think it speaks more to the penmanship of the average Marine, you know?
I've always tried to make it easier. And then when I came out here on recruiting duty, man, like I honest to God, if I wasn't face to face with the person, I wouldn't even say like my full last name. I would just say like, hey, this is Staff Sergeant T, this is Gunnery Sergeant T, because I was on the phone talking to an applicant one time and they legitimately thought I said Dick Pen. And I was just like, yeah. And I'm just like, bro, like, and he laughed. And I was like, and when I was on the phone and he laughed when I said my last name, I was like, I apologize. Did I say something funny? Like, was there a joke that I just said?
Yeah.
Did I miss? Because I would have laughed.
Yeah, what am I missing?
You know what I mean? So I always just was like, hey, Staff Sergeant T, Gunnery Sergeant T. But speaking of that, you said something earlier that really stood out to me, brother. And because you're the only one in the Marine Corps that has your last name, correct?
Correct.
And I remember you, just like talking about like you're one of one. And that really like a light bulb went in my head because anybody, if I ever said your name to anyone else, they are going to immediately know who I'm talking about.
Correct.
And that just speaks volumes. And if you don't mind, man, just like going back over just that piece right there.
Yeah, it's interesting. So like, because I do it probably once or twice a year. I'll just look up in the gal. It's usually when I'm trying to like CC like myself on an email, and as I'm typing it in, there's no other Nick Racioppi, and the last time I checked, there's not even a Racioppi that's in the Marine Corps, and so I had a brief moment where there was a reservist who is also named Nick Racioppi in the Marine Corps. I saw him in the gal. I wanted to pen pal on him essentially. So him and I will send each other updates on life every once in a while. But I think inherently, I always took it as like, oh, okay, if I'm the one of one in the Marine Corps, right? There's a bunch of like Miguel Vasquez or like tons of more like Latin based names or even like the European names, right? Like you start looking into the Irish names like O'Malley or there's plenty of those officers and enlisted that have that name. And I think selfishly I kind of took that as like a chip on my shoulder. It's like, oh, okay, this is kind of how I need to like continue my career. It's like be someone who can talk to the officers but also advocate for the like enlisted side. And that I knew when I was coming in that I wanted to do the 20. You can ask any of my peer groups I came into the Marine Corps with. Retiring at 20 has always been the goal. And, career-wise, I've had some hiccups and I've had to forcefully grow. But I kind of internalized that early on. Because once I realized, one, when you're a Lance Corporal in the infantry, I didn't even know I had a fucking email account until I was probably a corporal or a sergeant, like that just I wasn't even on it. And so once I could realize that I was a one of one, it kind of made me want to do better. And like, I don't want anybody to have a sour taste in their mouth after working with me, having an interaction with me, and even like, understandably, I'm not a perfect human, but I'm by no means a perfect Marine.
100%.
By owning up to those mistakes and, hey, that was like a moment of stupidity or that was a moment of weakness, and owning up to it and then accepting those punishments, I think has kind of led my career. And my wife will say I'm very mistake prone, but in my eyes, that's the only way I learn is by making those mistakes. Like even if someone, I'm very much of the cloth. I'll do as much planning as I can and then I execute. And even if I know that plan's probably not going to work out the best, I still want to get the reps in and see it through because, well, okay, now I know it's not going to fail. Because then the eventuality or, let's say happenstance, it does work out. Well, then I get to, one, selfishly prove you wrong, but two, I get to say, like, I've had that life experience. And yes, I can tell you for a fact, without a shadow of a doubt, that doesn't work. Because I think a lot of leadership, and I don't know about you, when I was coming in, we had a bunch of Afghan vets, and all of our seniors had seen some pretty fucked up shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as you're slowly removed from that experience, you start seeing people who are in like motor T, air wing, and they're speaking on things they just heard their seniors say. They don't have that experience. They don't know why you don't say repeat on a radio. They just know that they need to yell about it because you're not supposed to say repeat on a radio. And it's like conceptually throughout the Marine Corps, when you start passing those, in my eyes, that's how I kind of view the Bible. It's like it's just a bunch of stories that people are picking and pulling, right? The specific stories that they want to talk about, and then just applying that to other aspects in their life.
So, man, you said a couple of things that really, man. The first one, man, honest to God, is the stories. Because when I came in, I'm a maintainer by trade, and I remember coming in and my seniors like coming from Iraq, coming from Afghanistan, and saying like, you think that you're just a mechanic until you're out there, outside the wire. And I'm like, oh my God, like what? And I remember as I would get older and the stories that the caveats that they would tell me not to do or tell me to do to be aware of, I would be telling my junior Marines that and would completely forget that like, oh, that didn't happen to me. That happened to Sergeant Garcia. Sergeant Garcia is just telling me that could possibly happen. And a lot of stories, especially now that we're so removed, like it's either like you have deployed or you haven't deployed. And it's one of those things where it's like you're just passing stories on to the next generation. But over time, like we're forgetting the with them or we're forgetting the why you're doing that. And we're just remembering like, oh, fuck, like if I do this.
Those tie-ins.
Yes.
It's like the Marine Corps is really like the reason we've lasted so long, I think, as a warfighting institution is because of those, right? Like I think we go through iterations where peer groups kind of lose sight of that, but then are like quickly reminded by some of the more experienced guys, like, hey, like, you can't just take these guys on a log run. Why? Mm-hmm. Why are they doing the log run? Why do they need to feel what uncomfortability feels like? Mm-hmm. Why do they need to be in the sand? Well, it's because the more they're used to being cold, wet, uncomfortable, that's all going to be background noise when there is an actual situation where, yes, I'm forcibly getting out of an AAV onto a beach and we're about to like invade a country, right? Like I shouldn't be worried about how wet my boots are at the moment.
Mm-hmm. You're already inoculated to that,
Correct.
And as somebody that practices martial arts, like I remember hearing this like inoculation to interpersonal violence, you know what I mean? Like, and people just, the crazy part is that people will go their entire lives and never experience like violence or be in a violent scenario, you know what I mean? Or a situation. And good for them. Great. Life, you were able to find like a nice path, but then there's others, especially in a warfighting organization. Like if you enlist in the military, like I'm a firm believer that you're going to have to inoculate yourself to interpersonal violence. You need to be comfortable with discomfort. You need to be comfortable with giving violence, but also being able to receive some form of violence towards you because especially in a training environment, because at the end of the day, you're in a warfighting organization. You feel me? Like, hell, you could be in the Air Force and work on planes. You understand that there has to be a with them. And I think that goes back to what we had just talked about. You can hear the stories, but if you have never inoculated yourself to that why won't even register. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that it's all purpose-based.
Yes.
And I'm sure you've had experiences where the best FNCO you can have is the one who they have enough expertise to explain the purpose and allow their officer to come to the idea that like, I'm wrong because what I'm saying is fairy tale, right? Or it is just an inappropriate use of like resources. And that step NCO is supposed to give the purpose as to why, right? Like everybody wants to talk about the small stuff like formations and things of that nature, but like when you start talking employment and tactics, it is important that the staff NCO gives the purpose as to why there is a thought process, and that gives them the confidence to challenge, which is what they're supposed to do. That's the officer is there for employment of its resources, right? At whatever level, battalion, company, platoon. There is nothing worse than a staff NCO who's just kind of thrusted through their career, and you see it all the time, they don't necessarily have a backbone to stand up to the officer, and they hit the platoon or the company with like, that's what he wants. It is what it is. And they're afraid of repercussion. They're afraid of nip locks, 6105s. Those are all, in my eyes, I'll gladly take a 6105 for anybody that's under me. I'll take an NJP. Like, I got tenure now, baby.
Brother, and man, I'm so happy that you said that, man, because there's so many people that have have been around a Marine like that, have experienced somebody like that before, where it's like, bro, like, and as a junior Marine, you looking at them like, dude, like, I thought you were fucking in charge. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I thought that
that's
you
how it
niggas-
is, right? Like, they're
You know
like,
what I mean?
here's meet your new platoon commander.
Yeah.
And the staff NCO is supposed to be like, put on them.
You know what I mean? Like, I thought you were in charge, man. You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's such a scary thing to have somebody like that in your corner. And I try not to talk about this as much because it's a buzzword now. And it's the internet's favorite word. But like, when they sit back and they talk about like toxic leadership, you know what I mean? Like, motherfuckers love to talk about toxic leadership till we're blue in the face. We love to say, like, and I'm not saying that there's no such thing as toxic leadership. Obviously that exists, but we always categorize it. We always generalize it as like this certain thing. I would tell you right now, the worst type of person that you would want to have in your corner, especially in a leadership capacity, who is directly responsible for you, is somebody who does not have a backbone. You were about to get worked.
Mistakenly, right? Like, I've been that guy before, but it wasn't like, the thing that sucked is I was already under fire for some shit that I had done, right? And so with me already being in a very peculiar place where I'm between a rock and a hard place, I could feel that, like, fuck, I'm not standing up for them the way I need to be. And so I started challenging more. But it was a brief period. And so, am I saying you should be a person that challenges everything? No. I think if you're a staff NCO and you've drank at least a sip of the Kool-Aid, you got to understand that there are organizational things. You cannot challenge your officer openly in front of the platoon. That's just bad business professionalism, or bad business professionalism. That's just bad professionalism. But behind closed doors, you and that officer need to be on the same page, and it's very apparent to the platoons and the companies when you aren't.
You know, and I think when you said, like, you know, I wanted to challenge it, but I'm also under fire myself. Like, I'm already being suppressed myself right now. Like, I ain't got the wiggle room that I ain't got. There it is, right there. I don't have the currency like I normally have right now.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, I ain't got it. Like, you ever, like, we know what it's like when we got, like, you know, got extra money on us. You know what I mean? Like, when you got extra money on you, you can buy some things that, or you can spend on some things that you really normally wouldn't care about. But when you ain't got that, when the budget tight right now,
you
know when the budget
like,
tight,
jiggling some change around, you're like, I think we got enough for gas.
I mean, like, you asking questions like, are you sure that we need toilet paper? I mean, we just bought paper towel. I mean, it's the same thing. We just don't.
We got washcloths. We got washcloths.
To be honest with you, just get in the shower. Just get in the shower after you're done and wash that out.
Yeah.
And I know that feeling because I've been in that situation before.
Listen,
you know, right before I was about to get NJP, like, getting NJP'd and being NJP'd are two different feelings. Those are two different feelings. And I remember when I was getting NJP, like, that process prior, there were some things that I had to let go. I know I don't got the currency. I can't really talk to you right now about that. You know? I can't. I'm already under fire. You know, I gotta shrug my shoulders on that one.
You're about to get NJP'd, and it's like you're literally sitting outside the CO's office, and they're like, "Hey, you think we could talk to the platoon commander about, like, not doing PT tomorrow, and maybe we'll just show up to work at 08?" You're like, bro, if you don't get out of my face with all that right now, like, bro, I'm literally about to. I got this beef. I'm going to do right now.
Bro, like, you're looking at me like, dude, like, I really got some things going on right now that I can't even. And you're looking at them and you're saying to yourself like this, hey, can I follow up with you on this conversation a little bit later? Like, once everything blows over, I promise you I'm gonna get back to you on that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I know that feeling. And I think also, man, like it goes back to maturing and understanding what your left and rights are.
Yep.
You know, I think a lot of times, like, especially in a leadership position, bro, like the hardest part, and this is something I've learned now, is that as I get older or as I mature through the ranks, the mentorship, the guidance, that becomes less towards me, but me more towards me giving it back, if that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
Like,
And it's mentoring them on what their left and rights are, right? Like picking and choosing your battles. As a Lance, you're like, why the fuck are we showing up at 3 o'clock in the morning for this PT? It's going
yes,
to be a 2-hour event. You're like, trust me, the company's already back planned. This is the latest we can get here. We're not going to fight a battle on that. But if we're talking like, hey, some of the married guys, they just don't have time to PT after work. Can we maybe let's extend lunch to 2 hours? But that's with the context everybody's PTing during lunch, and then everybody like we'll do an 11 to 1300. Those are like left and rights that you should be able to change at your level, right? Like those are all simple changes. But if we're talking company level stuff, like that's well with out of your realm of control.
and I think that also goes back, man, like to which we had said earlier, like we're trying to, the staff and CO is like, you know, he's task saturated. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It goes back to when you understand what your left and rights are, you're also gonna understand like what's on the field for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what is the closest alligator to the boat? And it's gonna come back to, all right, well, I know I have to deal with this. I know that I'm the only one that has to deal with this, but my guys that are under me, they can deal with the alligators that are further from the boat. You know, like the
Sure.
ones that are they're priorities, but they're not my number one priorities. And I
Yes.
feel like that goes back into, if you want to stop being overworked, man, like train your guys. You know, like set your guys, train your guys, let your guys understand exactly what's going on. So that way they're like, boom, dude, like I already know
Yeah.
guns got this going on right now. That means that I need to have this under control.
Yep. And sometimes you get a personality where they can recognize that and they're mature enough. It's usually the older Marines, right? Like they
Mm-hmm.
come in, they go through boot camp at like 21, maybe 22, right? They have a little bit more life experience and they can pick up on that. But if you're working with like 17, 18-year-old dudes, 19 by the time they're probably fucking hitting the fleet, you especially like, and I said this before we started recording, it's like I think our peer group is a generation of go-getters. And the reason we got here, and I feel like every, 14 to 18 year mark staff NCO runs into this problem, is that because we're so used to like taking things on to help progress not only our career, but also stand out, right? You didn't get selected because you were a mid-tier staff sergeant, right? Because we're so used to taking things onto our plate that like inherently the Marine Corps and your unit is going to use you until you either tap out, right, and say, hey, I'm going to relinquish some of these responsibilities. And for us, that's super hard to do. I'm having to do that at my house. I'm figuring out how to like let my kids know, like, hey, I need you guys dressed, prepped, and ready to go. My wife's getting ready, right? Like, and we're inundated with questions as parents. And so the same thing happens in the Marine Corps. Like all of the guys are asking and they're wondering, what's the purpose? What are we doing? What are our what's the intent, right? And so it's on us to not take on everything because we know we do it right. It's okay to let them fail and let them fuck it up, because what you're doing is you're cutting their knees out from their experience should they choose to stay in the Marine Corps. Let them experience that shit. Let them fuck it up. As long as you can back them with like, this was the intent. Obviously they missed the mark, but like they're getting there. That's how you mentor people.
Dude, honestly, man, when you say like, you know, like we're a generation of go-getters, man, like fuck. I think about PFC thick pen, Lance Corporal thick pen, Corporal thick pen, you know, and I think about the time that I was in the Marine Corps and the people that I was surrounded by, whether they were coming or going. And
Yep.
I can't help but not think like we had no choice but to really like get on the
Lock
mark
in.
and get on lock. Yes, there it is. Lock in and lock in fast too. Lock in fast. You got to think about it, man. Like when we were doing Marines, the Marine Corps was not upsized. They were downsizing. They were like in the process of trying to like downsize.
Yep.
By my second enlistment, people were getting removed out of the, like getting pushed out because of tattoos.
Yep.
Like, hey, your tattoo's not good enough. Hey, all right, bye. I don't care if you're tier 1. I don't care.
Deuces.
You know, and you really had to be a force multiplier at some point in your career. Like, I remember telling somebody, like, because they were like, how do I be a better corporal, or how do I be a better sergeant? How do I be a better Marine? And I'm like, bro, like when you become an NCO and you still have just 1 MOS, like you're already behind the power curve.
Yep.
You're already behind the power curve. If you're not giving back to the organization at some point in your career, you're already going to be behind the power curve. Like I can't even put you on the board because the things that you're doing is at the platoon level.
I'll tell you one better. In the infantry, there was almost a motto. If you were asking how can I be a better corporal, you were almost looked at like you were judged. Like, bitch, how do you not know? How do you not know? It's all in the paperwork. Go look at the TM. What training objectives are you building out? What's your training plan looking like? What's your white space training? Like if you're already asking that question, like you were heavily judged. And sometimes guys would throw it out just because they were fucking up and they wanted to be seen by the platoon leadership, like trying to make it better. But it was like an empty effort. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you're in trouble with your parents and they're like, you know, I think I could go maybe mow the lawn. Would that be a good idea? And it's like, yeah, dude, you're already grounded. Like, what do you want? Yeah, go mow the lawn. Like,
go mow the lawn.
It's an empty effort.
Yes, yeah. Dude. And you got to think about like, and I'm pretty sure you heard it. You learned about the next rank while you're at your previous rank. You're preparing your training for the next rank while you're already at your previous rank. You don't know how to be a corporal. You learn how to be a corporal while you're a lance corporal. That's what that was your free trial period. That was like your learning. So that way. Go ahead.
And I was going to say that was the difference in your peer group too. It was like there's always a bunch of memes from like back in the day, like Terminal Lance and things like that. Like when you ascended to NCO, and you just like you could see there were some guys that didn't know how to behave around their peer group, and all their buddies were still lance corporals, but you picked up corporal, and now you don't know. I get it. There's a separation in leadership, but you should know how to like, hey boys, like, got it. I'm the squad leader now, but like, I need you guys to have my back because how am I supposed to talk to the platoon sergeant if you guys are fucking up, right? And you like my objective as a squad leader was always to just make the platoon sergeant's life that much easier. EDL's already done, right? Like you wanted to be a confidant and a well-trusted Marine and not to selfishly hold stuff just to your squad, right? Like you're supposed to, that's what makes you a good squad leader is also hooking up your fellow squad leaders and your fellow team leaders. Like all of that stuff just drives up. And the more you could see it in the platoons that had trust with their leadership, they were off. Yeah, we got it. We just got to the fucking LZ. We're going to start setting up. We have white space training planned. We're standing by until, the first, range iteration or first dry run. And you're going through things. And those were always the squads that were top performers.
And I would even add this, man, like we understand good leadership, great leadership, we get that. But there's also something called like good followership, great followership. You know what I mean? And the best example that I could give, man, like I remember being at the Mace and Shafe. When Shafe became lead, I was Shafe's A/. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and it just goes back to like just understanding that what the whole plan is and what his close alligator is and what the other alligators that are in that river with us right now. And I remember Shafe handling something and I'm like, all right, well, we need to have this already taken care of because he's already here. By the time he comes back to us, this needs to already have been happening. And when your team knows that and they have an idea of what's on the table, that's when we're all firing on cylinders right now. But when we don't know, or let me rephrase that, not that we don't know when we're not doing that, because that goes back to that go-getting mindset right there.
Yeah.
Like just because I'm not the number one guy don't mean that I ain't got a task on the table right now.
Correct.
And when you don't understand that and you don't have that mentality, that's when the team starts to suffer. And now we're looking at like the number one guy, or we're looking at the lead, we're looking at the leader, and we're saying like, hey, like what happened? I'm like, oh, bro, like you kind of knew what was supposed to happen as well. Like he was tasked out, you were supposed to go take care of that as well.
If we're going to hit gear turn in and you guys haven't done your tie-ins yet, like what are we talking about? Like what we need to progress this train. Like we're on a schedule, right?
Bro,
So like
he's in there briefing. By the time he's done with this brief and everybody's not set up, by the time he comes out, we're failing. We're failing him at this point. And I think that's the biggest piece right there is I can't there's one thing to fail your guys, but there's also another thing to fail the guy that's in charge of you as well, or that your team lead, because that's something that you also have to take into consideration. You do not want to fail this guy too, because that means that now we're failing the whole operation at that point.
Correct. Yeah, man.
Now, just to switch gears, man, because I mean, like we're here in the leadership aspect of it, man. But the biggest thing that really stands out to me, man, is the fact that you also do comedy. Like, how did you like just listening to you now and then knowing that, like, in the back of my mind, even as we were having this conversation, I'm like, I was like, this guy also is a stand-up comedian. Like, how did that like? How did that journey segue, or how did that pathway open up for you? Like, how does that happen?
Yeah, I've always been the class clown, and PFC, Lance Corporal Racioppi, he was always trying to make a joke of just how shitty our predicament was. And so back in 2021, I was like, I was already doing my podcast at the time, and COVID had hit, and I told myself that I wanted, like, the whole reason I started my podcast was the way to get bits out during COVID. And so COVID hit, none of the clubs were open. September 16th, 2021, first time on stage, I wanted to throw up. It was weird because I thought I was a one of one, and then I got up here into the like DMV Quantico area, and there's like a ton of vets that are either doing comedy or starting comedy. Mm-hmm. But down in North Carolina, I was like, again, a one of one. I was like one of the only active duty guys to be following something, one, in the arts, but also two, stand-up comedy specifically.
Right.
And I don't know, I've always liked fucked up jokes. People have always asked me my opinion on pop culture things, and I've always had some form of weaponized opinion, I guess. And then I just took it to stage. And so like now it's my comedy is primarily what you would call edgy. If everybody wants to check out my Instagram, Nick at Night, I have a ton of suicide jokes because it's something that's important to me. I've heard plenty of Marines,
it's common,
soldiers, sailors, all taking their lives, and it's
mm-hmm.
It's upsetting to me, and it's kind of like, if it's a subject you feel shouldn't be spoken about, it needs to be at least joked about. That's the only way I process trauma.
You know what I remember, and I'm glad that you brought that up, man, because even as I say it so casually, you know what I mean? Like, veteran, like suicide in the military, veteran suicide is like common. I say it so casually, even though it's like it's a tragedy, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's common, it's
very
something
common.
That is very, very apparent within our community. And I remember, honestly, we were, this actually happened, I want to say like a week ago. And obviously I'm a recruiter man. And the stipulation behind like, being on recruiting duty is like your physical fitness. It's a hard STA, depression, anxiety, bad, not really good for your mental health. I would tell you that right now. Not great for the mental health if you don't take care of it. And there was this one Marine, and he's definitely like overweight. He's definitely overweight. And somebody was talking to me about him. They was like, do you see that guy? And I was like, yeah, I see him. And they was like, what the fuck happened to him? And I'm like, he's depressed. And they were like, okay. I was like, no, I'm trying to tell him like no, like that guy's like legit like depressed. You can look at his face, you can look in his eyes, like it's clear indicators. And he said, what is he doing? Is he eating his feelings? And I was like this, do you want him to eat a bullet?
Yeah.
Literally without missing a beat. The guy said, he was like, what is he doing? Eating his feelings? And I was like this, do you want him to eat a bullet? And we both looked at each other. And I was like, yeah, dude, like that guy probably like needs to go to therapy. Like he needs help.
Yeah.
Like he
I
just won't say it.
yeah, I got a joke that did really well on Instagram where I was like, Marine Corps it's a dangerous job, man. Like just last week I had a gun in my face. And then my buddy walked in and I had to put it down, right? Like those are all jokes that should be I,
I
so
remember seeing it. I remember
it's
seeing
actually
it.
it's I wound up doing that joke for a crowd, and like I empathize with the trans community very often. I think it's terrible that you are in a body that you feel uncomfortable in, and same with veteran suicide, right? We have like the number call out is 22 a day.
Mhm.
Trans people are having almost a similar epidemic, and I was like, I realized we're very similar, right? Like suicide is happening once we realize what we've done.
Interesting.
It's so like it's an idea that the trans people are both regretting what they've done, and obviously the similarity in the vets realizing what they've done, and it's all right, right? Like it's the same demographic of people, and so I empathize with suicide. I know a large percentage of the veteran community likes the darker jokes, and so I kind of I play to those, right? Now I'm actually kind of maturing and starting to talk more about my life and some of the traumas I've experienced in life, um, and bringing that to stage. But like I understand it's a serious thing, and I empathize. Obviously, I'm sure there's a number. Everybody loves pointing to it on TikTok, and if you're, it's always felt like such. I hate how much influence social media has on people because it's literally like, well, like there's 22 a day, right? Don't forget to call this number, but it's on the very device that's making you uh, compare yourself to like people who have all of these luxurious things, uh, and they're trying to bring attention to it through that very tool, right? Yeah. And a lot of that too is like, because I've been in those, dude, I've had a staff NCO was like, hey, there's one of our Marines. He's at his house with a shotgun. And like, unfortunately, not unfortunately, I'm actually very fortunate because I don't know what would have happened, but I was 3 houses away from him. He was my neighbor. I was unaware of the situation. Dude, I'm trying to like tactfully get this shotgun out of his hands. We're like walking up a stairs to go put it in his gun safe. I'm like, let's get that gun out of your hands. And the barrel's like at my chest, and I'm like, let's maybe like just get upstairs and calm everything down, right? Like, but if it wasn't for that staff NCO, like, I don't want to say forcing me. I was, very willing to help. I was young. I didn't really know how I was going to help, but like I've talked people out of those situations. And what I've come to find is actually if you're not reaching out, they're not going to. When you're already in that space, I don't know if you suffer from depression. I suffer from it. Um, it's you can't by placing the boundary that they need to call. You're already feeling like a burden. What are you gonna do? Call someone and cry? Like fuck no, dude. And so it's behoove. I hate using this word, so I'm not even gonna use it. It is incumbent on the people around to make that read and call, even if you're mistaken, right? Like call, reach out, and yes, sometimes it's inconvenient. If you have a bunch of shit going on, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I just when you said that, man, like it really stood out to me, man, because of the simple fact that, and then it's so crazy that you said that because I was actually thinking that, So sitting down talking to my therapist, and I remember her like talking to me about like, just like depression and like going over everything. And she was like, "Have you ever heard of like persistent depression?" And I was like, "What?" And she was like, "Well, it's something that you will want to take a look at, that might be something that you are." And I'm
Yeah.
just like, I was like, "Let me guess. Is it because of my positive outlook on life?" She was like, "It's the way you just said that just already just like points me right in that direction every single
Yeah.
time."
Spider senses are going off.
And
Her
but
therapist spent sensors.
yeah, like looking it up in the DSM-5 and just saying
Yeah.
like, like, "Have you ever heard of like persistent depressive disorder?" And I was just like, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
can we skip past that part?" But she was 100% right.
Yeah.
And at my lowest point, you said something that really stood out to me, because at my lowest point, I wanted somebody to talk to me, but I didn't want to reach out to nobody.
Yeah.
If somebody would have called me, I would have answered the phone immediately. And it's so actually it did fucking happen. Damn, I'm tripping. It did actually happen. I was literally, I'm talking about spiraling. I'm
Yeah.
spiraling out. I'm not about to answer the phone. I'm not about to call anyone,
Yep.
because the hard part about calling someone, especially just when you're in that space, when you're in that headspace, is because you don't know how to open that conversation. You don't want to answer the phone. You don't want to get on the phone and immediately start dumping your problems on
No,
somebody.
you're like, shit. What are you up to? What are
You know what I
you
mean?
doing?
Hey, are
And
you
what you got
busy?
going on this weekend?
Can you
And then
talk?
like, they're like, what are you doing this weekend? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't even know if I'm gonna make it this weekend. You're like, what do you mean? Make it to where? And then like, yeah, that whole conversation is awkward.
And I remember, and luckily, as I'm spiraling out, my phone rings, and it was somebody else calling me. And it was like, "Hey man, like you just popped in my head for some weird reason. Like, how are you doing?" And I'm talking to
Yeah, man.
eyes swollen. Eyes were swollen. I'm literally spiraling. And I'm on the phone like this. "Oh man, thank you. I appreciate that."
I'm good, man. Yeah, no, I'm cutting onions. What are you doing?
Okay, I was out here smoking a cigarette, man. Like, I
Yeah,
appreciate you calling.
fucking
But he fucking saved me in that moment
yeah,
and didn't even realize it.
yeah, man. It's nuts too, because like I've gotten those like even just like texts every once in a while. Here's the thing: when you suffer from depression, you feel as though no one's wanting to reach out to you, but they're doing it,
Yeah.
right? You're just not reading it as that, and so like there are plenty of
Mm.
times we spoke about it before. I feel like such a one of one sometimes that I've done shit I'm not happy about.
Yeah.
I've experienced things I'm very happy about.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes you feel so individualized. No one else is going to get what you're going through, but they don't have to. No one's lived my life, and I haven't lived anybody else's life. And so for me, as a reasonable human being, some things that have helped me like jet out of that depression spiral is understanding that yes, while people don't have the same experience as I don't need to talk about that shit. I can talk about the latest episode of Invincible. Thrag coming back
Mm.
and ripping heads off. Like it doesn't need to be necessarily about your problem. Um, and I think that's also why I'm very childish at heart, is because I was very much robbed of a like normal childhood, and so I stick to like, bro, Dragon Ball Z. We're talking Invincible, anything that can like bring me back. I'm
Yeah.
talking old school Toonami. Give
Yes.
me all of that,
Yes.
like Cowboy Bebop, Inuyasha,
Yes.
like, and I'm passing those things off to my son, and I get to like relive a lot of the shit that I feel was maybe not taken away from me, but um, it had a caveat. My childhood, I feel like, is like yes, I had an origin story, but it's got like an asterisk next to it. It's like it's
Mm.
not, and it used to piss me off talking to people who like had both of their parents who like um, just had normal childhoods, right? Like,
Yeah.
so you guys just grew up riding bikes in your fucking cul-de-sac.
So you guys
Fucking,
had Christmas?
that's yeah, that's gay, dude. That's gay as fuck. Um, Well, you got, yeah. Oh, your parents were at your graduation must have been fucking nice, dude. And so, like, a lot of that was just me trying to make one of those like quick jokes. It's how I got into comedy. It's like I understand I'm damaged goods, but like I can still make people feel better about themselves. And in
Yeah.
my eyes, there's nothing better than like a comedic relief. It's how I process trauma. It's it's how I associate with the world. Um, everything, and my wife hates it, but everything is a joke, and I've had to kind of dial that back when we're in the household. Like you can't always be on when you're grocery shopping, even if the cucumber looks way bigger than it's supposed to. Um, but like, do you remember the ball gazer?
Yes.
You like put it below your waist.
Yes.
My son and I have been ripping that everywhere, and I got a DWI, and case was dismissed, but I was like, my hands were like in my face, and I didn't know what was going to happen. My career was on the line. Financially, I didn't know what I was going to do if I got out. And, I'm sitting there, and as I open my eyes, my son's just like, and to me, that is the best comic relief. Dude, I'm on the verge of crying. My life is in shambles, and then it just takes one of the dumbest high school jokes ever to like just pull me out of that. And so sometimes you need that. You need someone that just reaches out, and it seems to be, I pray for the families of people who, complete suicide. And I'm not a very religious person, but I empathize wholeheartedly. Like that's a son, that's a father, that's a brother, it's a sister, a mother, and those were in no specific order. Um, but I don't know why I went that way. Uh, like ladies commit suicide too.
Like it's not it's not
Yeah,
exclusive.
like actually, what are the statistics on lady suicide? No, but I'm just saying because I think it is men who complete suicide more often. I think there's a lot more pressures to men that you know befall women. There was that study that was done, which is like one of my favorite ones to kind of cite. Is there was a lady who dressed like a man for like a year or whatever, and
I know what
then
you're talking about.
just through all those pressures, winded up committing suicide. It's like, dude, you guys tried to be a man for a year, and it obviously that's like a very microscopic version of it.
Yeah, they was dogging her out.
Yeah.
I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing at the
We're
outcome. I'm laughing at the process.
Correct.
And she was just like, she couldn't hang with the girls. The girls were mean. The guys were mean. Like she was like, this is what guys are going through all the time. And it's like,
hell yeah. Which I get it. That's a very microscopic situation to look at. I'm sure there's plenty of trans people who find that their life is leaps and bounds better than what it was. They feel comfortable in their skin, and more power to you. I'm just saying, because I was one of them. Before I started therapy, I was like, what am I going to go do? Cry in front of a stranger? Like I'm past all that. I don't want to. I don't want to bring up my old baggage, dude. I'm still working through. Like, I have a sex addiction. I have alcoholism. I have depression, severe anxiety, all of these things. And I'm still raw dogging life. I haven't touched Adderall. I haven't touched any of the like prescription medications, which everybody's telling me that I need to get on. It's just caffeine and nicotine. I'm going through life like a fucking infantryman should. But it's just learning how to like effectively communicate what you need.
What's so crazy about that is that like when you said like, what am I going to do? Like cry in front of a stranger. I said that. And then literally in that session, that's exactly what the fuck I did.
Yeah. You're like
and it comes out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like it comes out of nowhere. Like I'm in the car saying to myself, like, I'm like, what am I going to come in here for? Like, I'm not about to cry. As soon as we get in there, like, she starts asking me like a couple of questions. Then, I'm fucking crying. I'm like, I didn't know there was emotions attached to what the hell was going on.
Yeah. I had a big, growing up, I lost a lot of like what I would see as my mentors or people I saw close to me. I would be grandparents. I never met my dad. My biological mom is a recovering addict, and everything was very wishy-washy. I got adopted by a friend. His parents are who I call my parents. So when I'm kind of talking through that, and the issue I have in most cases is like all it is just like my interpersonal skills. I'm really good at being a showman and getting the attention because that's what I needed to do as a child. But it's like digging into like why I need the attention is what's nuts. That's the stuff I'm still uncovering. So stand-up comedy is obviously a perfect vessel. Yeah. Yeah, and every person listening to this podcast need like some of the questions I was given from my therapist, who was fucking awesome, is like think back to 6-year-old self. Would they be proud of where you're at right now? Did they see you making it to that? I thought I was going to die on my first deployment. I went to Libya. I had never even heard of Libya. Benghazi had just happened. We were there as like a force security or security force to the embassy that they were standing up. No idea. I didn't know what was going to happen. And when you kind of recollect on your life, I tend to look at all of the things that were bad, and I'm an optimistic person by choice. And so what I thought by avoiding therapy was, well, I'm just avoiding all that bad. I don't need to talk about the bad shit. That's already done. I am who I am, and that's who I'm going to continue to be. But
What
I
you had
wasn't
just
the
said right
best
there.
version.
I
Yeah,
didn't
go
mean
ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off, man, but you said something like real powerful right there. You're an optimistic person by choice. What does that mean?
Well, I think there's a lot of, and I don't know if it's just expounded upon in social media, but like everybody is so quick to say like, I didn't have both parents. I didn't, and all of the ways that life has been pretty fucked up. But, and it was one thing that brought me to the Marine Corps was that like, it doesn't matter. Sure, we're the lowest funded organization. Sure, we're working with things from the 70s. I remember getting to the fleet and they were like, "Yep, here's your map and compass. Figure it out. No GPS, right?" And so I'm optimistic by choice because I choose to see the things that are bright in the room around me, not the things that are dark. When you go to a room, the first thing you want to do is turn the lights on, right? The issue with constantly looking for shadow is that's going to be your existence. The existence that the negative things are what's shaping you, and instead it's how you learn from those mistakes and those shadows enable you to turn those lights on.
Okay. No, what I like the most about that is the simple fact that it's just what you said, brother. You know what I mean? Like, I'm optimistic by choice. I have a reason to be fucking negative. Like I have a reason to be negative. I choose to look on the bright side still.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like I choose to still find some type of good, some type of fucking happiness.
And
in
usually
the
that's the comedy in it. It's like, yeah, I get it. Depression, suicide, that's all sad shit.
Yes.
But what's the funniest way to kill yourself?
Laughing.
I was going to say putting on a Superman suit and like just jumping off of a building.
Oh. Gotta do it.
I have a bit right now that I've been working. I'm like trying to think of like what's the funniest place a mass shooting could happen. There's like a bowling alley. You're just like in those shoes trying to run away, but you're like just in place.
You keep slipping. You keep slipping.
Yeah, you're just fuck. Right?
Oh.
That's the comedy, right? That's the relief. That's the release, right? We have all these very heavy things. that everybody's so worried. I'm a parent. You're a parent. Like, dude, we just had a school lockdown yesterday.
Yeah.
They're happening more often. I got it. It's because the schools are a lot more worried that things could actually happen and come to fruition. So they're a lot more preventative in that. And so, got it. Dude, I grew up in Neptune, New Jersey. That is very hood. And we never had, dude, there were knives, guns, plenty of gang violence between us, and never had a lockdown. And so I think people get so wrapped around the axle with all of the preventative maintenance for some of these very heavy things that they forget to realize, like, oh, it's not happening to my kid. There's like solemn in knowing that you, as a mature parent, have a lot of control on what your kids take in, what you're doing as a parent. Like, I have a thing for Christmas. Santa doesn't buy any expensive things. Santa fills the stocking, and Santa brings like smaller toys, clothes, things of that nature, things that could be made on the, North Pole production line. And that's simply so when other kids come back from Christmas break, it's not like Santa brought me a PS5. But another kid, their family can't get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just something that is out of their reality. And so being able to, like, one, find community as parents, that's something that should be thought about, right? Like, it makes no difference to me. Our kids are going to get those gifts no matter what.
Yeah.
But it's thinking about how they're presenting that to the rest of the world that I think a lot of parents are missing.
But yeah, dude, like, the crazy part about Christmas. So how many kids do you have? Two. I have 4. And
you like that ooey gooey, boy. 4 kids, god damn, son.
And my 2 older, so I got a 13-year-old, a 11-year-old, a 7-year-old, and then obviously a 3-year-old. And obviously my older 2, they don't believe in Santa Claus anymore. They don't believe in Santa Claus. And my youngest girl, who's the 7-year-old, she still does. She believes, and then obviously her little brother does. And I remember when my son figured out that Santa Claus wasn't real anymore. He like connected the dots. He's like, I would see a whole bunch of packages on Christmas Day. I would never see all those packages again. I would just see them up under the tree. So he did a 1 + 1 is 2, but he kept it to himself for a while because he stopped believing when he was like 7. He said, I kept this to myself because Charlotte, like my youngest girl, still believed, and he didn't want to ruin that for her. Like, he didn't want to ruin that for her. Yeah. And he would sit there and open up the presents. They'd be like, oh, look what Santa got you. And he would look dead at us and says, yeah, thank you, Santa. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate you. And I'm
the
like,
fourth wall break. Yeah. You're like,
he would look over. And I'm like, dude, like, just be happy. He's like this, yes, thank you, Santa. And I remember telling him, like, we would drive, and I'd be like, dude, like, honestly, man, I'm so happy that you don't believe in him no more, because ain't nothing worse than me and your mom jumping through all these hoops, getting all this, and then you were looking at Santa Claus like, thank you. Like, no, bro, like, that was me that did that for you.
Yeah.
Like, that was me, you know.
Well, you don't want your kids. You don't want your kids to be the last one either, right?
Yeah.
Going into like college, like, what do you think? What do you think Santa's bringing? What do you think Santa's bringing this year?
Dude, like, you don't want your kid. I never realized that you don't want your kids to be the last.
You don't want it to be the last.
At some point, at some age, you got to let them know.
My daughter called us this year. She goes, we know the Easter Bunny isn't real. We know it's you guys, obviously, making the baskets, hiding the eggs. Easter Bunny's not real like Santa. I'm like, okay, all right, cool. We'll rock with that.
Like, hey, how many people know? Who all knows about this?
Yeah.
When my son told me, I was like this, who all knows? Who all knows about this? And he looked and he was like this, nah, it's just me and Coda. Like me and Coda know. And I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
does Charlotte know? She's like, no. I was like, okay, don't tell your sister. Let your sister figure it out. Let her figure it out.
Yeah.
Don't tell
Yeah,
her.
yeah. But not too long.
No. By the time, I feel like, honestly, a good age to break the news, 10.
That's getting there. Ours are very close in age, so like
Yeah.
once one knows, the other will. But yeah, like you don't want them going into high school like, all right, guys, you guys ready for Christmas break?
God, I can't wait to get my Christmas list. Like, oh man, like you don't want your kid to be that kid. Like,
No.
you know, like.
But you also don't want the whistleblower.
Yeah, you don't want that. My son was about to do that. He was about to let everybody in the house know. Like, hey,
Yeah.
so I got something that, like, literally,
We got something to talk about.
A town hall meeting in the house, in the living room. Hey,
I don't care. Sit in your bin. Bring it in.
Is everybody aware that Santa Claus isn't real? It's mom and dad. You know, my oldest knew. She been new and never said anything. She just let everybody else figure out on their own. And I was like, God, man, like they're not making kids like you no more. Your brother, he was prepared to let the whole house know.
Yep.
You know,
we've got an issue. I got something to bring to the table.
Hey, I sent this in an email. It didn't get addressed, so I just want to bring it. Like, does anybody know that there's no North Pole? All right, there's no Santa Claus. There's no, why are we putting these cookies out?
I seen on Google Maps.
I tried to Google it.
Yep.
All right, it's not happening. All right, I find it weird that he's at all these malls for some reason. You know? But as we come to a close to this episode, brother, once again, man, such an amazing episode, man. Do you got any lasting words to share with the audience before you go?
No, man, just follow me on social media, Nick That Night on Instagram, Nick Racioppi on Facebook. I do have a YouTube channel. I'll start posting some of my sets. I have something I'm really excited about. I'd like to start kind of posting some of my open mics and my working sets, and I really want to take the viewer through kind of the inception of some of my jokes and then what I feel gets it to like a final versioning. So be on the lookout for that. Nick Racioppi on YouTube, Nick That Night on Instagram. If you just go to the Instagram, I also have it in my link tree in the bio. So just really appreciate you having me on, man. And obviously send up the Red Star Cluster if you ever need a guest, and I'd gladly come back on the show.
100%, man, 100%. And just like that, another extraordinary thought left this ordinary mind. I hope you enjoyed this episode half as much as I enjoyed making it. Don't forget to head on over to your we got to get a different outro. We really have to get a different outro, all right? Because at this point, I can't say that in the beginning, and I can't say that in the end, all right? So do me a favor, start drafting up another outro. Stay hungry, stay motivated. I'm out.